So we put the Cobras on yesterday. I didn't do a video of that. It was pretty simple to take the old pipes off. You had to take these two nuts off. But first I loosened those that went on the muffler there. Then you undo the 4 nuts around the manifold area. Undo that. Whole thing just pops off. Wrapped it in the plastic that they gave me in case I want to save it. If I sell it someday, put them back on. The new one was pretty simple. They give you a bracket that bolts on the existing holes. I don't know if you can see that lower one down there. Pop that on, don't tighten it. Pop the pipes on. Tighten them a little, but not much, snug. And then you'll tighten everything up at the same time. And then on the back side you can see for the heat shields they give you hose clamps. There's 3 on the top, 4 on the bottom one. They tell you to hide them. Well, when you put those on, you want to make sure the top ones, you got the nut driver part on the top, and the bottom ones you want them facing down so you can get to them. There's 2 big ones which go on the back side here. Then there's 2 smaller ones for the top, and then 3 smaller ones for the bottom. You have to open them up to slide them around the actual pipe. These covers have to go around the pipe. Then you have to put them back through and tighten them all up. Once you get that on, you're all set. It took me about 2 hours to install it. Now I'm going to put on the Fi2000 Cobra fuel tuner, the module. Pretty simple. It looks like I took out undid the 4 screws there, popped that off. It's all just grommets, no screws to that. Popped off the covers on both sides because you got to get to the battery terminal. But the negative battery terminal, man, I don't like the way they got this battery in there. It's way down here. To get this thing out, it looks like there's some kind of cover on there. You got to unhook. You got to unhook that somehow. I don't know. It looks like maybe it's clipped on there. If I want to take it out at the end of the year, I might just put a tender on it and leave it in the garage. And then there's 4 screws here. One nut there, down in there. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know. That nut's looks like a 10mm. And then the plugs on this actually are pretty easy to get to. They're right here. They're already labeled rear and front. And with the directions, you just unclip those. I think there might be one other one you got to clip in, then hook up the negative cable. So we'll see how this goes. Get it hooked up. Here's the directions. They send you this nice photo. If you want to do any revamping, I think it's on this side. Advanced tuning, it says. I'm not going to do the advanced tuning. Saw a couple videos where it's pretty good. The way that it is, we'll see how it goes. But let's try this out and see what happens. So we took it out of the package, put the end next to the battery, slid it up through there, got the connectors to come out this side. Really all you have to do is take those couple things off. The 2 plugs are right here, so easy to get to. Unplug the old ones, plug the ends in, then plug the ends into the cylinder heads, and you're good. And then wire up the battery. I mean, that was quick and easy. Probably 20 minutes so far, maybe. The hardest part was feeding the wires up through there to get them up there. That was the hardest part of the whole thing. Took a couple minutes, that's it. I was trying to take and put the negative cable onto the battery. Once you undo that negative little battery post, there's a nut in there, and the battery's in like this, sideways, and that nut just falls right out of the end. Boop. So I went and got a little piece of black tape, put it around the end there so the nut won't fall out. So you don't have that problem on the positive because it's rolling back into the battery. So we'll slide this back in. It was a little bit of a pain in the butt to get out, but we got it out. Slide it back in, hook it up, and see how it goes. Okay, now to see if it's running properly, they want you to take the cover off, start the bike up, and all three lights, or not start it up actually, take the cover off, turn the ignition to on. The three lights should start up, and then start it. Once it's running, it should just go to one green light if everything's hooked up properly. So let's see what we got. Turn the ignition on. All three lights are on. Let's start it up. So there's not really a lot of space down here around the battery area or on the top, so I just gonna Velcro it to the panel here, the cover, because when you put that on it looks like there's actually a decent amount of space in there, so we're gonna go with that, I guess. So when you get it all tucked up in there, you can see it's got all the room that it needs in front of the battery. And then I think that light might even glow or something to know that it's working. We'll find out. One thing I did notice when you put the new Cobra pipes on, they're a little bit thicker, and the cover doesn't want to slide around it as easy. So you need to take some pliers or something and bend that back in that way. Bend it over a little bit, because the lower post can't get around the bundle of wires right there. So if you bend it back, it moves it back just enough to get the clearance to get down into that grommet. Once you do that, it's going to be a whole lot easier taking this thing on and off.